It's finally time for us to get our meeting started. It is 9:08. We will begin our meeting today with prayer. Bob Shemeldikoff, would you please come forward and lead our invocation, please, sir? Stand as you are able. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
You bet. The microphone is yours, sir.
Would you bow with me as we pray? God of love and grace, we bow to express our gratitude to you for the gift of life and for the many ways we have of sharing it together. For the high privilege of living in this community, we give you thanks. For receiving your bounty with such faithfulness, we are deeply grateful. For the quality of life afforded us by making this place our home, we celebrate together our goodness, your goodness and grace to us. As a community, we express our thanks to you for these elected officials who faithfully serve us. We thank you for their love and compassion and for their pursuit of justice coupled with mercy in every situation. We pray for them today as they give ear to the needs around us and as they give voice to the decisions they must make. Give them clarity of understanding and magnify their collective wisdom by blessing them with yours. Give them courage to serve the common good for all the citizens of this community. We pray in his name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, sir. Mr. Chandler Flores and Mr. Parker Stewart, would y'all come forward? These young men are from the Angelo Catholic School, and they are going to assist us, or they are going to handle the Pledge of Allegiance this morning. So, y'all ready to go? Let me get behind you, and we'll get started. Get us started, boys.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Gentlemen, thank you so very much. Very good job. Well done. That always gets the day started right. I don't know what there is about it, but that is the way to start a meeting right there. Thank you, gentlemen. The next thing that we have on our agenda is a proclamation. This is to thank Michael Pfeiffer for the things that he has done for our community. And last meeting, it was my honor to be able to read a recognition for the 25 years that this man served in the city of San Angelo and the many wonderful things that he was able to accomplish. Daniel Valenzuela read this proclamation at the Sacred Heart celebration. And Daniel, I'd like for you to read this again, please. Daniel asked if he could read this. He and Michael Pfeiffer were very good friends. So please read it again, sir.
First of all, I'm deeply honored to read this proclamation again. Bishop Pfeiffer, arriving here in San Angelo 2 years ago, he was there to welcome me with open arms. He invited me to lunch. I had a good discussion with him. I remember that day when he was leaving from lunch, I said a special prayer that I too could serve this community with God's love in my heart the way that he did. I know that in the 2 years that I've been here, there's times that have been a little bit tumultuous, to say the least, and it seemed like every single time that those opportunities came up, I received a letter from Bishop Pfeiffer of encouragement, just to let me know to hang in there, that he was there in support, and that really meant a lot to me, along with the phone calls. I talked to him this past week. He gave me a phone call again. And he's meant a lot to me. I consider him not just my shepherd, but also a dear friend. So I'm deeply honored to go ahead and read this proclamation. It can never truly express what he's meant to our community. The proclamation reads, as Michael D. Pfeiffer, OMI, Bishop Emeritus, has been a faithful servant and Roman Catholic priest for 50 years, a loving son and brother to Father Ted Pfeiffer and his 9 sisters, Bishop of the Diocese of San Angelo for 29 years, shepherding those entrusted to his care, and with a great love exemplified by the Lord Jesus Christ. We acknowledge his service as Bishop of the Diocese of San Angelo. Bishop Pfeiffer provided a vibrant, determined, and dedicated impact on the community by helping form the Committee on Racial Justice, helping establish the Homeless Coalition, helping form the Concho Valley Cares Coalition, establishing Catholic outreach services, supporting and raising funds for expansion of the family shelter, serving as a charter member and supporter of the Big Brother, Big Sister program, organizing hearings for SAISD students to voice their concerns and problems, gathering community leaders to discuss ways to promote economic development, welcoming non-Catholics to utilize the Christ the King Retreat Center, serving on the committee that developed the Downtown San Angelo organization, celebrating the first religious ceremony in the Fort Chapel, the first year of Christmas at Old Fort Concho, helping start the Juvenile Detention Center, and after its establishment, ministering to the kids every month, year after year, bringing Christians, Jews, and Muslims together after 9/11 for dialogue on ways to promote peace in our city, which led to the establishment of the Peace Ambassadors of West Texas, working to develop First Call for Help and Code Blue, organizing the Eagle's Nest program at Goodfellow Air Force Base, leading establishment of the local 9/11 monument and the 9/11 Ecumenical Prayer Service, establishing the Racial Relations Task Force in 2003 during a stressful time in our community, initiating the first San Angelo Ecumenical Service honoring Martin Luther King, understanding the power of prayer, organizing community and region-wide prayer for rain, often followed by heavy rainfalls filling our lakes and rivers, working tirelessly to promote, guide, educate the public, and raise funds for the Alcohol and Drug Abuse Council of the Concho Valley Indigent Detox Project from its early years until present day, devoting time to his jail ministry, which included spending every Christmas day with inmates, a dedication that inspired many groups today to work in jail ministry, monthly visiting the girls at the Concho Valley Home for Girls, often taking them to dinner and always acknowledging their birthdays and bringing Christmas presents. Through the years, hundreds of girls loudly proclaimed, "Bishop Pfeiffer is our best friend." Chairing the Las Dos Angeles Committee and helping raise funds resulting in the magnificent bronze statues at the Visitor Center of St. Angela and Angela de la Garza DeWitt, sculptured by John Noelke. Supporting the River Corridor as well as Earth Day, encouraging children to participate in its event, serving as a charter board member of the San Angelo Area Foundation, organizing an ecumenical citywide celebration honoring the Lady in Blue, which focused on San Angelo's little-known place in Texas history in the 1600s, and bringing to the event Humano Indians who had not visited their homeland for 400 years. Bishop Pfeiffer officially declared June 20th as the Lady in Blue Day for the city of San Angelo and the San Angelo Catholic Diocese. These accomplishments are just some of the wonderful things Bishop D. Pfeiffer contributed to our community. For the thousands of people Bishop Pfeiffer has given medals and improved their lives, and to those he lovingly ministered for the 29 years, San Angelo is a better place, and its citizens have been blessed. Now, therefore, I, Dwayne Morrison, Mayor of the City of San Angelo, Texas, on behalf of the City Council, do hereby proclaim January 6th as Bishop Pfeiffer Day. Unfortunately, Bishop Pfeiffer couldn't be with us here today, so we do have Mr. Gus Clements here to accept the proclamation and maybe give us a few words. Gus,
Thank you, sir.
good to see you, sir.
Bishop Pfeiffer and Bishop Sis are in San Antonio, no doubt, doing God's work there for this day, so they asked me to come and pick this up. You've already heard the reason we are honoring him, and thank you very much, San Angelo and Mayor and City Council.
Yes, sir. Let's get a picture, Gus. You can get on. Thank you, sir. Bob Bluethorpe, bring your contingency forward, please, sir. We have a large group here today to accept this proclamation for for Fort Concho, and we're glad to see every one of y'all here today. Good morning. Good morning, Mayor. What a group. Good morning.
Good morning, Mayor.
Good morning, sir. McLaurin?
Yes, sir.
Good morning. Gentlemen, look here. How are you, man? Hi there. Karen? Come on, Smith.
That's somebody's name.
Hello, Harry. Good morning, man. How are you? Good to see y'all. Hello again.
She created this back in '82,
Is that right?
so we blame her.
Goodness. Let me read this recognition. It says the 2014 Christmas at Old Fort Concho was one of the best attended and may rank in the top 3 financially in its storied 33-year history. An estimated 15,000 volunteers and guests participated in the most recent Christmas at Old Fort Concho, with the visitors representing 100 Texas communities, 23 states, and 6 foreign countries. This substantial number of distant visitors translates to much spending in San Angelo stores, gas stations, hotels, and restaurants, contributing a significant amount of tax revenue that supports local services and our tourism economy. We commend the extraordinary level of cooperation and assistance from many city divisions, especially animal services, civic events, parks, operations, street and bridge, traffic and public information. Assistance and support were also provided by purchasing, finance, and accounting. We especially note the high level of commitment from our Fort Concho staff, who worked long, hard days for weeks to ensure successful event preparation and execution. Those staff members continued to labor in the recovery and cleanup mode for weeks afterward. Christmas at Old Fort Concho and those who make it happen clearly reflect the best aspects of public service and commitment to the community. Therefore, I, Dwayne Morrison, the mayor of the city of San Angelo, on behalf of the city council, do hereby recognize and applaud the Fort Concho Museum Board, staff, and volunteers for the dedication and positive determination for making a difference in our community. And your weather this year was perfect.
I don't remember what I ordered.
Here, Bob,
Thank you, Mayor.
make a few words, sir.
There's 3 groups of people represented behind me who make me and the fort look good every day. We have staff members, we have representatives of our 2 boards, the foundation and the museum board, and most critically, our volunteers. It goes without saying that without the volunteers, the board and the staff couldn't do any of this. This is a much more fun event when the temperatures are above 32, when the sun shines and the polar bears don't come over the walls. We appreciate the community's support, and believe it or not, we're already thinking about Christmas at Old Fort Concho. Don't miss it, first weekend of December 2015. We deeply appreciate the sentiment and look forward to serving the citizens next year. And how about another round of applause for these wonderful people?
Brian, we're going to take a picture wherever Brian wants us.
And if I may, I'm sorry, Mayor, one last thing.
Yes,
The
sir.
lady to my immediate right, who's very modest and wouldn't tell you this, but back when we both wore younger person's clothes in 1982, Tilly Chandler, was one of the key creators of this event. So when you see her around town, shake her hand, because we wouldn't have Christmas at Old Fort Concho if it weren't for her and several other far-sighted people back over 30 years ago. Tilly, thank you.
Where you going to put us, Brian? That'll work. Thank y'all so much. Bye, guys.
No, don't worry. We
See ya.
yeah, we worked our way around. Don't worry about it.
Take care, sir. Gentlemen, y'all do good.
Thank you, ladies. Appreciate it.
Hey, buddy.
Doing well.
Yeah.
Thank
We
you.
live. Yeah, I know. Good to see y'all. Good to have y'all. Thank you so much. Good to see you again. Thank you, man. Thank you. And now we move forward in our meeting to the time that we take public comment. We allow anyone in the audience to speak in any way that they want to, whether you're for us or against us. You get your opportunity to come to the podium, to state your name, and to make your comments known. Let me read the legalities of this, and then I will open it up. The council takes public comments on all items in the regular agenda. Public input on the regular agenda item will be taken at its appropriate discussion. Public input on an item not on the agenda or consent agenda may be identified and requested for consideration by the council at this time. The council may request an item to be placed on a future agenda or for a consent agenda item to be moved to the regular agenda for public comment. On public hearing items, public input will be received on each item immediately following the council discussion and prior to any action on the item. Each member of the public should make the remarks from the podium and begin by stating their name. Remarks by each citizen will be limited to 3 to 5 minutes unless waived by a council member for all speaking on that matter. No individual will be allowed to speak more than once on any one subject until every citizen wishing to comment has done so. The line forms in the middle. Everybody start coming forward that wishes to commend or criticize or anything else that you have of the council they want to bring to our attention. Looks like we dodged another bullet, doesn't it? All right, this then will end our public comment. I'll now go to the council. Is there anything on the agenda that the council would like to pull off consent and place on regular? And is there any comments that you need to make? We'll start with Elizabeth. Elizabeth, did you have anything you needed to say or anything you needed to pull?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Vardaman?
No, sir.
Mrs. Farmer?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Don't have anything I want to pull, but I do want to make a comment. First of all, I want to say Happy New Year to everyone, and I hope this year for the council starts as last year. I made a New Year's resolution that we be a friendlier, more working together, nicer council, and I think we've worked hard toward that, and I want to commend the council for helping me achieve my New Year's resolution, and I hope we do it again. But I also wanted to make an apology. About not quite a month ago, I had wrote an article, and I wrote the article, no one wrote it for me, and in the article I was very critical of city staff, and I had what I feel and still feel are very good reasons for that critical issue. However, one or two or three rotten departments do not make the whole pie. And I want to apologize to Rick, Weiss, Carl, Brian, Anthony, Rick again, Angelica, Shane and his department, Roland, Robert, Roger, John, Stephen. Those of you that I know and Mr. Colonel back there himself, you run good things and you do good jobs for the city, and I do not mean to belittle that in any way, because you are outstanding employees. But by the same token, we do have some problem issues that we need addressed and fixed, and so therefore I was very critical of that. I feel like I have that right, but I don't have the right not to commend the guys, the people that do work so hard for the city, and for that I do apologize. And from the bottom of my heart and my mind, my biggest apology goes to Rick Weiss. Thank you, Mayor.
Yes, ma'am. Mr. Silvers.
Mr. Mayor, I did not have anything until I looked over to my right. And I've been telling this man for the past year or so to get him a new laptop, and I want to make it, he needs a new laptop, because if you see this antique looking thing that you can barely see the screen, and he refuses to get a new one, I make it mandatory that we get him a new laptop, please.
Is that a directive?
It looks that way.
That's a directive. I think we need to get him a new laptop.
Actually, Charlotte needs one as well.
Mine takes about 30 minutes to change programs and warm up.
Well, I compliment him on that proclamation that he read this morning. The font was so very small on that I couldn't even see it. But Daniel, with his young eyes and his good glasses,
1.5 reading glasses,
read the thing very well. And I tried to follow along. I couldn't even read the words. So
Thank you, Mayor. Appreciate it.
Marty, did you have anything, sir?
No.
How about you, Mr. Fleming?
Not at this time. Thanks.
Okay. And I don't know, I just will throw this out. I have nothing to pull off consent, but One of the guys at our church the other day said that in the year of 2015, he said there's 31 chapters in the book of Proverbs. And he said, I want to read one every day. And he said, if there's 30 days, I'll read 2 at the end. And if there's 29, I'll read 3. So that's one of the things I'm going to try to do. There's a lot of wisdom in that book that helps us all live together and work together. And that's my resolution. I'm going to start reading a book out of Proverbs every day. There is no items that have been pulled off of the consent to go into the regular, so I will entertain a motion to accept as presented.
Move for approval.
Second.
Do have a motion to approve from Vardaman. Johnny was the one that made the second. Do I have any further discussion from council? Do I have any discussion from the public on this before we vote? All right, I will then call for the vote on the consent agenda item, which are items number 1 through item number 7. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Consent agenda passes 7-0, Brian. We are now to our public hearing. We got you, ma'am. We are now to the public hearing and comment. One thing I did want to add to the agenda, we are pulling item number 10. Eric Sanchez has asked that we pull this and to postpone this until the next meeting. So we will be postponing item number 10. Item number 8 is consideration of awarding RFB VM 1714 zero-turn motors to Cross Texas Supply, San Angelo, Texas, in an amount not to exceed $112,000 for the purchase of 6 units with the option to purchase 2 additional units budgeted for purchase in FY15 and authorizing the city manager or designee to execute any necessary related documents. Mr. Kramer?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Good morning, Council. This item is before you today on the regular agenda to consider approving this award for the request for bid for zero-turn mowers to Cross Texas Supply. These mowers are to be utilized within various departments, 4 of which budgeted for the Parks Department, 1 for the airport, and 1 for sewer treatment. That makes up the 6 that are budgeted. This RFB was sent to 4 vendors, published on our website and the San Angelo Standard Times. 4 local vendors responded, one of which offered 2 different bids. That's why you see 5 different items on your bid tab. The lowest bid is not being recommended for purchase as it did not meet specification. The second lowest is. We recommend that the award of the RFB VM 1714 zero-turn mowers to Cross Texas Supply for a term of 1 year not to exceed $112,000, which would include 6 budgeted units, 2 of which are not. Additional purchases exceeding $112,000 will come back to council for approval.
Do have one question for our attorney. I do know that Charlotte Farmer is the mother and the mother-in-law of the owners of Cross Texas. Is it all right if she sits in as we discuss, as long as she recuses herself before we vote?
Yes.
Okay, is that all right with you, Charlotte?
I do know after reviewing this several times in the past, I'm not even required to recuse myself. But I have always in the past recused myself to not imply or cause any misunderstanding that I have absolutely no interest whatsoever in my daughter and her husband's business. Financial gain, period. So, thank you.
I just wanted to get that out in the open before we went any further. Thank you.
approval.
Second.
We do have a motion to approve by Marty. We do have the second by Elizabeth. We will now open it up for discussion. Johnny?
Yeah. Ryan, I noticed that on the background, the 112,000, I see the total bid of 83,000.
Yes, sir.
What is the difference there?
The 112 would include 2 additional units if funds became available or council wished to provide funding for additional mowers. We have a total loss, something catches on fire, for example, and we need to replace in an emergency. Those 2 units are out there waiting, pending a dire need, but not budgeted for at this time.
So just the 2 additional would total that 112.
So a total of 6 units are budgeted for right now, and the 112 would include a total of 8.
Okay. Thank you.
Further council discussion on this? Anything? Rodney, Marty, y'all have anything on it? Have anything from the right wing? I'll open it up for public comment at this time. Is there any public comment on this item before we call for the vote? Come forward, please, sir. And I will ask you to state your name for the record, and you have 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay, I'm Randall Smith from Control Power Equipment. We were the lowest bid, but we didn't meet all the specs, you know. But there's some specs there that we exceeded too, several of them. First, warranty, it has a 3-year warranty where the other ones have a 2-year warranty. We're a heavier deck, not quite as fast as speed, you know, a little bit less gas, but I just think that, and it's $1,000 or so cheaper than the lowest, I mean, the next bid up. Just like some consideration there. I know it's bid off of the X-Mart brochure, so it's kind of hard for us to meet every spec on the deal when it's directly out of an X-Mart catalog. All the specs.
I see one of the specs not met are the front tire and the drive tire size. What's the difference in the?
That's what I don't understand. That doesn't really make any difference in the speed of it or anything. Or
Your tire a little more narrow or a little
yeah,
wider?
Ours are bigger on the front, but they're smaller on the back than what X-Marks are.
And then we've got the drive system. I understand yours works with the transaxle, and theirs actually works with
Right.
with a
The
transmission that runs each back wheel.
Right. The transaxle, there's one on each side, and they're independent. Where theirs is wheel motors and pumps, which has extra hoses and extra maintenance and stuff on them, is the way I look at it.
And the fuel capacity, is that a great difference there?
Maybe a gallon difference. I don't think that's... And the speed is 1 mile an hour less, but you can't mow at 12 miles an hour.
I think they probably transport
probably
these
try
things
to.
on a trailer anyway.
Right, right. But that's just something to put in for consideration.
Ryan, I believe these are some pretty good questions that possibly we need to answer. May I have you step forward, please, sir? Were you through? I wasn't trying to cut you off.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. I'd like for him to answer those questions.
Sure, yes, sir. I can tell you that the specs were generated, I wrote these specs based on what we have been known and proven as reliable mowers. I'll say that the tire sizes, while really not critical, I would agree. Fuel capacity to a certain standpoint, maybe not critical. The drive system in this case is critical, in my opinion. It is a different system than what we currently use. We do have some potential for issues there as this new style system comes out. I can say too that in that drive system, the other 4 mowers that were bid are identical to what was requested for bid. And this one was the one that was kind of the black sheep in this case. The other aspects, they do have some positives about it that do exceed the specifications. However, looking at the entire picture of what this is, what we know is reliable, what we know is proven for our needs, all of those things taken into consideration, and knowing that the X-Mark did meet all of the specs as were written and as we intended to find the best mower for us, that's the choice that I recommend.
Well, just for the record, there is $6,200 worth of difference. Concho Power came in at $76,656.40, and Cross Texas came in at $83,801.98. That's a difference of about $6,200, which is over our 5% threshold that we worked with last meeting on the police cars. How do we get around this?
If I may say that, that 5% limit is an out-of-town versus local aspect, and I think Roger can talk more about if that has any play here in a local aspect, but that was an out-of-town scenario.
Because we were actually dealing with a smaller percentage on buying vehicles
Yes,
with
sir.
Jim Bass as opposed to Caldwell, Texas. It was a 7%. And this is probably going to be closer to 8 or 9%. I'd like for you to speak to that, Roger. This is kind of confusing to me.
In this case, they're both local bidders, so the 5% is not relevant. That would be if you had somebody from Odessa versus somebody within the city of San Angelo. So it's a difference of just the difference in prices, and the difference of either meeting the published specs or not meeting the published specs. We're not allowed as a city to publish brand-specific specs, but we can use their specs as long as we accept equal or better bids. In this case, the Vehicle Maintenance Department has said this is the type of specs that they want to have on their machine. So your options as a council would either be to accept the bids or reject the bids and request that staff revise the specifications and go back out for bids again. Okay?
Thank you, Roger. And one more question, and then I'll quieten down. We're getting a 2-year warranty from Cross Texas, and you were giving us a three-year warranty on the X-Mark. Are we buying maintenance agreements on these things like we do on everything else?
No, sir, we don't buy maintenance
I
agreements.
know on the vehicles there was an extended warranty.
Extended warranties, and that extended warranty on the vehicle was specified as an option. In certain scenarios, we choose to buy the extended warranty, possibly because of how the piece of equipment is going to get used. In most cases, we're not buying extended warranties. Depending on the cost, we try to weigh that very carefully. But it's not a maintenance plan as we would take it and just have it maintained and worked on. We do all that in-house.
But we're not planning on buying the extended warranties on either one of these?
No, sir, not on either one. We're going to assume the factory warranty that's available.
Clarification.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Mayor, you said 3-year on X-Mark, and this gentleman's not with X-Mark.
Let me change that
Okay,
around.
thank
It's
you.
2-year on X-Mark, on 3-year on the Gravely.
Yes.
So your unit actually has an extra year of warranty that the other one does not have. And you are also $6,200 cheaper.
Yes, sir.
Do you have something, Rodney?
Yes. What do we have the majority of right now?
Right now, our mower fleet is an X-Mark fleet, which warrants some of the specification build that you see here. Not only can we have experience maintaining them, we know what they are. We have parts in stock available and ready for breakdowns. We do have one Skag mower, which was also bid here, a little different mower than what was bid, but we have a Skag mower. And we also have a few other random mowers throughout our fleet, but it is vastly X-Mark at the moment.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
what's our life expectancy on these things?
Our life expectancy should be about 6 years. We have been running these mowers in some cases up to 10 years, and they have performed very well. I've been very thankful they've held up as they have for such an extended amount of time. They're a very expensive mower, regardless of the brand that we're looking at here, but we do that so that we can get the life out of the mowers. We have a high need. They are used heavily, and we do need them to hold up. So that's the life expectancy is about 6 years, and we regularly push that.
Do I have further comment from council? Do I have any further comment from the public?
No, I guess not.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you very much. Come forward, please, sir. I'll ask you to state your name, and you have 3 to 5.
My name is Monty Sims. Company is Best Tech Supply. We are the Skag dealer. The specifications difference in our mowers versus the X-Marks that was done. We have an 11.8 gallon tank versus a 15. We have a 22-inch tire versus a 24. Those are the only 2 specifications that we couldn't meet. The city also has a Skag mower and has held up for about 6 years as well. That is my only comment.
Your drive system was the same, though?
Yes, sir. My drive system is the same. I also have a 3-year warranty. We are a local company.
Yes, sir.
And looking at the specifications, it's just very difficult to meet the exact specs on a machine that wasn't bid on that. So being 2 inches difference on a tire and a couple of gallons difference, and I believe my bid was around $1,500.
You were at 85,306.
Very good, sir.
And the bid that we have from Cross Texas is 83,801, and then Concho was 76,656. So Concho
Yes,
was
sir.
in fact the cheapest bid out of the 5, and you were number 3.
That is correct, sir. Okay.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Any further comment before I call for the vote?
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Yes, ma'am.
as I've stated, according to my attorney, I do not and am not required to recuse. It's always been on consent, but I have recused if anything involved any family member, and therefore I'd like to recuse myself at this time.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, the motion has been made that we accept the bid of Cross Country for the Exmark mower at a total bid price of $83,801.98. It has also been seconded. I will call for the bid. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Did I get all 5 of you on that?
Not me.
Okay, well, hold up your hands. That is 4 for and nays, so put a 4-2 vote on that one. All right, let's move on now to the next item, which will be item number 9. Mrs. Farmer, you may come back. Hello, David.
Good morning.
Should just let you sit here, shouldn't we?
Well, I had a chair back there.
Item number 9 is consideration of approving the selection of Mid-Tex of Midland Incorporated as the first-ranked proposal to RFCSP number PK0314 and authorizing staff to negotiate a contract subject to council approval for construction of the concession building at the Bosque of the Concho River Projects Improvement. Brother Amp, you are on, sir.
Thank you very much, Mayor and Council. So we've been working on the Bosque, and we put this out back in November. And this is what we're looking for. Your direction today is just allow us to go negotiate with this contractor, and we will come back to you with a contract, obviously, and I'll go through more detail. Just a reminder on the Bosque, there's 3 elements that we're kind of putting together here. One, the concessionaire, which you guys approved for us to negotiate a contract there, and that's in negotiations. Second one is the concession building, which we're here today. And then the other one is the miniature golf course. We're getting proposals actually today at 2, I believe. And we'll evaluate those, look at it. And my hope is that I can come back to you in February with a negotiated contract on the concession building and some more detail on the putt-putt. So everything's coming together, and if we can keep things moving, I'm hopeful that the concession building and the putt-putt can be completed, say by May, and open up at the same time. Quick layout of the Bosque. The yellow arrow points to where the concession building will sit. To the left is the putt-putt, and to the right is an open area that we're working, still considering functions, what we're going to do there. The red dot is a proposed carousel that may or may not happen. This is how it is today, wide open, just a clean slate that we'll be developing. So you'll see in the pricing, I had them break it up into the building and the site work. This is a copy of the site plan from the drawings, and we're developing a road that comes from the parking lot down to where the concession building will be, and that's where we'll bring in the food trucks. And we created a little loop so they can get out as well. So that's an area that I think we can maybe work with some of the numbers.
And when he says road, he means it's a decomposed granite
Right.
sort of path looking, not pavement.
Right. Everything's designed to incorporate with what we've already done there on with the washer pitching and all the DG there. So that's the direction we've moved forward. And then here's a plan of the building. It's very small, about just under 400 square feet. It's got a small restroom, kitchen layout, and this is, it's got a large roof for shade and dining. And this is where the concessionaire will operate all his functions, putt-putt, paddle boats, and things like that. There's an idea of what it will look like. It's very simple, metal roof, metal siding, has a wood face there at the concession window. And this is an old rendering, but I think it's still similar enough because this was a block building at one time and we changed it. It gives you an idea how it will sit underneath the trees next to the other building, and have a nice seating area for
park visitors, idea of what we're planning. So here, let's talk to the numbers. The top is our original budget. The concession building, we had budgeted $225,000, miniature golf, $175,000, site work, utilities, $50,000 and $70,000. Then design and contingencies, $130,000. We only got one proposal submitted for this project. I was hoping we had more at the pre-construction meeting. Only one submitted, and that was Mid-Tex of Midland. And their breakout for the building was $236,000. So it's about 5% over what we had budgeted, which with the rise in construction costs, I think is pretty good. The site and utilities obviously was the big jump, $172,000. In actuality, we added a little bit to improve the road. We have this interlocking cup system that we put the DG in. It just makes for bringing cars and trucks in and out. I think it helps us, but that may be an area that we can look to save some money. So the total is $408,000, puts us about $63,000 over the budget. Some of the other additional improvements we had talked about was the carousel, some additional play equipment, additional musical instruments that are under the bridge now. Adding some art and aesthetics to the area, and then some other washer pitching. So those are budget items that, kind of a second tier priority. The main priority, let's do the concession building, let's do the putt-putt, and then, we back out from there. We have a little over $900,000 from the river improvement account that we can use on this. So,
and with that said, those dollars, we had saved some extra in there with the intent of trying to do some of these others. So, as David goes through this, what we really like to do is try to work to negotiate to get that price back down into our budget, so we'll still have some dollars to do some of these other improvements.
Right now we have, with the $408,000, if we, as it is, we have $175,000 for the putt-putt. If that holds true, we'll find out more today when we get the proposals. We still have a couple $100,000, I think, left over out of the 900 that we can do some of these. So it's just to be a matter of whatever we can save on this project, we'll be able to do more on future improvements. So basically, the staff is recommending that we, allow us to negotiate. I think there's opportunity to save, and we'll find some value engineering and save some money there. We'll also be reviewing the design proposals for the miniature golf, and at the same time, so we'll look at this as the big picture, and see how the numbers fall for both. And so then the follow-up would be in February. I'll come back to you with kind of another look at the budget. We'll see where we are in the building, what we can negotiate that down, in the site, and what we're looking at for the putt-putt. And at that time, we'll ask you to execute a contract for the building, and we'll ask you to also allow us to select the contractor and then negotiate a contract with the putt-putt design build contractor. So that's...
So all you're asking for today is for us to give you the authority to negotiate with Mid-Tex on this concession.
That's correct.
And I really fully expect you to negotiate about a quarter of this off.
Yeah. No, I think we can do pretty good.
He's banking on what you did last time.
Yeah. we need about a quarter of this 408 knocked off in your negotiations to kind of give you a place to start.
Okay.
Are there any
little target? Okay.
Yeah, Rodney, do you have anything, sir? You're next.
Yeah, when I'm looking at a 400 square foot building, and it's going to be priced out at over $575 a square foot.
Right.
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 Staggering.
I did that
What
math
is
as
it?
well.
Is the table or the tables gold plated in there?
There is nothing gold plated. I assure you, and it's mind-boggling too.
I'd like to address that a little bit too. And I'm not sure you were on. I guess you were on council last time. See, we brought a building as part of the original plan and cut, because I don't remember exactly what the building came in. So we downsized the building, did all that stuff, rebid. And I don't disagree with you, but staff is kind of at this point now of what other options. If you choose not to do this, I can understand. I don't disagree with the price thing, but we've bid this more than once, and keep coming in with the same sort of concepts.
No, I want to do it, but I also want to be a good steward of the public's money here. And
agree.
that when I see over $575 per square foot, this thing better be the Taj Mahal. It better be really, really
And
nice.
It is not the Taj Mahal, I can guarantee you that, because we didn't
But to
design
me,
it
that,
way.
it should be coming down in half of that.
I don't disagree with you.
$250 a square foot would be
And
outrageous.
you can talk to Roger about bidding laws. Unfortunately, city government is not allowed to do what I am as a private homeowner to
Right.
go bid. So Roger can tell you what we have to legally do in the bidding laws. I don't have an answer for you. And
Mayor?
if you have one, we'd love to hear it, but.
No, I don't have an answer, but that's not my job to get that. To me, I would be trying, were there requirements on this one? Did we do an FRP or FRQ?
RFP, so it's a
RFP?
proposal, and that allows us to negotiate. So we can get the architect, and we'll sit down with the contractor and look at, where all the money is going. The site work came in much higher than we thought, so that's something I know we can cut back on. But the building itself, it's a metal stud building with
It's a concession
metal stud.
stand, isn't it?
Yeah, it's plain. It's about as plain as
It's
it
not
gets.
a restaurant, it's a
No.
concession stand.
No, and we did have to add a restroom to it that, added, in essence, $40,000, for a restroom. But you're running utilities from point A to point B, it adds
Mr.
up.
Mayor, I'm not going to put words in Mr. Silvas's mouth, but I do know that Johnny Silvas and I have been on the committee with this all the way, and this has been one of the most fulfilling committees to work for, to see the progress that has been done. And when you look at the bottom line and you see the $900,000 that our group, under the direction of Rick Weiss, Carl White, and you have done, I commend you for that. And I want to address Rodney's concerns. Yes, the committee looked at that, and the only way that they can do anything or try to go from here is to let them to go out to negotiate. But we're well aware of, and we don't have to accept the final packet.
Yeah. And just to reiterate, and I agree with you. I totally agree with you. I don't know another solution based on what the city requires. Roger can speak to it, what our requirements are for bidding, other than to once again redesign the building. And we can make it a box, but as far as the space, we can't reduce the space. It's pretty much a box. I just don't have an answer. If we had a building crew in-house, a lot of times what we end up doing, like the City Hall project, the landscaping, we're doing that in-house in order to cut the cost. In this case, we don't have a construction crew for buildings in-house, so we rely upon bidding it out. We can bid it out again. I don't know that that's going to give us any advantage, though.
We had potentially 3 bidders, and only one showed up. But
At this point, I would say let us negotiate and bring it back to you and see what we get.
Did you have a comment, Don?
Well, yeah, you do this twice, you get the same result. Something isn't right. Number one, we only have one person that wants that. And to piggyback what Rodney's saying, my gosh, something needs to be gold-plated out there for it to do that. I know construction's tight, materials are high, that sort of thing, but there's something wrong in our bid packet and bonding and something that's kicking this thing up that much to where even at this much money, you don't have any more interest in it than what we do. I can't believe it. That's crazy.
Granted, the scale, if it was bigger, you can get better economy with scale. So it's going to be higher than.
Roger, would you come address that question concerning the big package? I think it's basically what you do for all projects, but if you could address
Johnny,
that would help.
Johnny, then you. Then May. Then you. Johnny, Marty, Elizabeth.
Am I up?
You're next. Not now. We're still dealing with Don. Go ahead, Roger.
So I'm next.
You're next.
Okay, just trying to make sure. This is a request for proposal package, which allows Rick and his staff to try to negotiate with the contractor. If they can't reach one, since there was only one proposer at this time, we don't have a second one to go to. So if they can't reach an agreement with this guy as to the cost of the project, then we would be required to go out for bids. At that time, we would have an option if they revise the specs, revise the drawings somehow to try to to find some of those things that you're talking about, then we would have two options. If you allow us to bypass what you mandated us to do earlier, is to go use proposals so we could negotiate contracts and do a straight bid. So that we've either got a choice for proposals or a straight bid. I don't know that there's any more advantage to one or the other, quite frankly. I like the proposal. I didn't think I would, but it does give the staff a lot more flexibility into trying to find something that we can live with to get a good contractor at a good price. So that's
Roger, I think
that's
some of the
good.
question was about what the content of the bid package. Was this one more stringent than others? Was
Not
there
really.
something in it that was different?
The performance bond and payment bonds are mandated by law as to what those have to be. Those have to be in the amount of the contract. The insurance requirements were nothing unusual. I don't remember exactly what they are, but there wasn't anything different that I recall in the insurance requirements for the contractor to have. So as far as the standard things, there were no variances to what we normally put out. The only difference could be your cost of materials or the design or something along that he may or may not can change to get the price down. But
It's just hard to negotiate when you have one person to negotiate with. I mean, you don't have a lot of leverage there, so.
True.
That's a little hard to play one against the other.
Right. If we had to, that would also give us another option to go out and take a look at what we had, what the bids came in, and ask for best and final offers, which is what we did for the BRC, and lowered our prices some more. But like you said, when you have one, they've got a bigger hammer than we've got at that point.
Fighting alligators with a short stick on that one.
Or a derringer, yes, sir.
John, did you have a question, sir?
Oh, I just wanted to comment that, Charlotte is right. Just she and I had been on this committee. We are only two voices. I know there's other 5 voices here to slice and dice this thing, but I am a little concerned on, and I'm glad Rodney brought it up on the price of that building.
Right.
For it to be just a metal building, I mean, I think it would have something. I would like for it to be something nicer than just a whole sheet metal building.
Native rock.
But I do agree with the mayor that if you can go back and negotiate and bring the price down, I think we'd all be happy if in fact it would go through. But this project is long overdue. I want to move forward with it, but at the same time, like Rodney says, we need to be frugal with the money.
I agree.
The design, the sheet metal is what kind of, left a little bad taste in my mouth, and I think we could come up, I was thinking some kind of Austin stone or something, just make it look a little nicer than just a box.
Adding money to the project already.
$1,000 a square foot.
Elizabeth, your comment, ma'am?
Did you call those that attended the pre-bid and then didn't submit?
I did.
And what was the reason they didn't?
One guy was from Abilene, and he had just done actually a couple of concession stands, and he was excited about doing the project, but at the last minute, he had some things come up for him in Abilene that he felt like he couldn't do it. When I told him we only had one, he hit himself in the head, I think, and, I wish I would have done that. But and the other one was a local guy that I think down to the end, he was putting together his insurance and bonds, and I think he ran out of time. It's a small project, so you're not going to get Templeton. And I was surprised that Midtex did this, but, it's a different group of contractors. We tried to reach out to, the ones that we could, but, a lot of people are busy.
Marty?
Well, Midtex is a good firm.
I feel good about that.
And I think if you try to negotiate with them and they understand that if we don't get it to some place where it's feasible, then we're not going to do it. Then I think our hammer's as big as them because we don't have to do it. So
True.
That's right. So it's not going to cost us anything but a little bit of time to move forward. So I think we move forward and let you do the magic that you do. So I move we move forward.
Second.
Do have a motion to move forward to negotiate a second. As people tell me, you don't have to be the sharpest tool in the shed when you're the hammer.
That's right.
Johnny, you had another comment?
David, I'm confused when on one end, and you say that, like on the miniature golf, did it say on there that the city will build it? So how do we not have?
No.
We'll keep on going because I read that somewhere.
at this point, we have 175,000 budgeted. There are certain things like lighting, the city will do separate from their contract because they're out of town, but we can use Electrical by Deb or whoever our electrician is and install the lights. That's the only thing we'll do for the putt-putt. But what we are asking, today we are getting the proposals for the putt-putt. It's a design build package proposal. We'll evaluate that and come back to you in February and ask for allow us to negotiate. We'll select someone and negotiate. But now at this point, I'm trying not to, extend our
But
staff.
we have no city crew that could build this concession building, is that?
No, that's correct.
Is that correct?
The other thing, we also looked at, the concrete, prefab concrete ones that are not real nice. It looks like the restroom. But, that's 160, 200,000, just to bring it in. You still have to get utilities to it, and so.
Johnny, you did read that correctly. It's it's meaning. It says to be built by the city. It means to be paid for and built by the city, not constructed by our crews. There is a statement in his presentation,
okay.
Built by the city, but he means we're gonna contract it out and have it built, and then someone else is gonna come in and operate it.
Separate,
Not that our city crews are gonna build it.
I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right.
We do have a motion that we allow David to negotiate, and that is the only thing on this, is that we allow him the opportunity to negotiate. It has been seconded. He'll have any further comment from council before we vote? I will open it up to the public. Is there any public comment on this before we vote to allow the negotiations to begin?
And Mayor,
Yes, sir.
excuse me, I think our main concern would be the concession building, right? The negotiation process. That's the main thing, so.
Right. We're negotiating on a total of $408,000.
Right.
That's correct.
The
Yes.
concession and the site work.
Yes.
Yeah.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Put a 7-0 on that one. It is 10:05. Let's take about 15 minutes. It is 10:27. Like to call this meeting back to order at this time, please. Number 10 is the next one on the list, and we have pulled number 10. We will discuss that at the next meeting pulled by the individual that asked for it. So we will now go to item number 11, which is the first public hearing and consideration of an ordinance annexing to San Angelo city limits certain properties situated immediately northeast of San Angelo, generally located on the northwest corner of the Old Ballinger Highway and U.S. Highway 277, and specifically described as 175 acres out of a 501.327 acre tract out of the J. Poland Survey 3, abstract number 5130, J. Point Event Survey 1113, abstract 4873, and J. A. Eagleston Survey 2, abstract number 4984, and the Olson subdivision recorded in volume H, page 539 of the District Court Minutes, Tom Green County, Texas, and described in Exhibit A, which is attached. Ms. Guerra, you are on.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
may I interrupt for just a
Yes,
minute?
ma'am.
I would like to ask Dan Soluri if it's okay that I participate in the discussion and potentially the vote. As you know, I work for Texas Pacifico Railroad, and this site is adjacent to the track.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, I have no vested interest in Texas Pacifico other than I'm an employee. I'm not a part owner. I receive no commission of any sort from any of the customer activity. But I would defer to the city attorney as to his opinion as to whether or not I should participate.
And I think that's wise. Would you make a determination if she needs to recuse herself or not, please?
Yes, I can do that. There is no conflict of interest. She would not be required to recuse herself. And as I understand it, Pacifico is not the property owner or the applicant in this case.
Thank you.
Then that is the legal opinion that, as a council, I suppose we will accept. Move on, please, ma'am.
No, I got one question here.
Yes, sir.
I do have a problem with this, whereas you have worked directly for Pinnacle Sand, and you do have a working relationship with them now. I've been in the meetings with you with Pinnacle Sand, not this representative, but the other representative, Mike Keller.
I'm not denying that they're not a customer. I just ask for an opinion. I'm not denying anything, Councilman.
Okay. But to me, that that would mean that you need to recuse yourself. If you have a working relationship with this company ongoing, and this is for a fracking, this is for sand, and this is an issue that we have that's coming up. It's a very heated issue right now. So I'm just asking for full clarity on this, that we all make sure we know who's dealing with it.
Then I'll be happy to recuse myself, but I asked the city attorney, in all fairness to myself, I think I took the right approach. But if you're going to have a problem with it, I won't sit in on the vote.
I think the public would have a problem with it.
That's fine.
That information does not change my legal opinion.
Well,
Charlotte?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, in a city our size, it's difficult to find folks who sit on the council who don't serve on a lot of committees, boards, and stuff around the city. I welcome, the same as I do your opinion, Mr. Fleming, your knowledge in the real estate industry. I welcome it. There are bound to be properties that you sell that are right on close where we're making decisions all of the time, and I see no need for the recusal. I do welcome Mr. Self's knowledge in the business that he does and the buildings and the knowledges that he has around the city. Our individual knowledge that we as council members bring to the city is vital to decisions that we make, and I feel like council members can learn things from our other council members and their expertise, and therefore I don't have a problem with Ms. Grindstaff. Since she asked legal, she made it clear, she made it public that the people that she works for, but she has no personal interest in this, but she does have knowledge that could be helpful in any decision that we render, and I would ask that she be allowed to sit, and I believe that's up to the council.
The legal opinion has been given at this point that there is no conflict of interest. Really, it's up to Ms. Grindstaff if she does want to participate at this point.
And I would say it's moot point, because she has already said that she would recuse herself and has left the dais. So I would say that the question has been answered.
And Charlotte, I agree with you wholeheartedly on this. I mean, we work hand in hand with these people on a daily basis, but not at arm's length the way this situation is. He just texted her and something just a minute ago, and she received a text from him. I mean, that to me that says that you have an ongoing relationship.
Okay, let me just ask something so I have it clear in my mind, because I don't know. You said that you had set in on meetings with this company,
Yes.
with Ms. Grindstaff, so you have a working relationship with the people from Pinnacle?
Yes, in the past I have. I sold them property in the past. I'm very much against this annexation. I'm not going to vote for them on this annexation. So
Okay, but I'm confused. If you have a working relationship.
I don't on this property.
Okay, but you have in the past. Wow.
She has recused herself.
Okay,
She asked an
I
opinion,
just
she got the opinion,
like the
and she made
expertise.
the decision to recuse herself. This is moot point. Let's move on, please, ma'am.
Good morning, Mr. Mayor, City Council. Rebecca Guerra, Planning Manager. The next item before you is, as we've iterated previously, this is a block annexation. This is the first reading of the annexation ordinance. I apologize for the fact that you can barely understand me and that I can't breathe. This is a 175-acre piece of property at the northwest corner of U.S. Highway 277 and Old Ballinger. Because this is an annexation, it is clearly not within the city limits and therefore in the ETJ. In fact, it's in precinct number 3, Rick Bacon's. Should it be annexed, it will be brought into district number 4, Councilman Voderman's district. The future land use of this site is designated as industrial. Lands immediately to the north, for the most part to the south, and to the west are also have a future land use designation of industrial. The zoning clearly has no zoning. However, you can see properties immediately to the south and to the west have zoning designations of ranch and estate and heavy manufacturing. Notifications were done for this ordinance, for this annexation ordinance, as well as for the previous the public comment hearings that we had, and the petitions. We did it from the overall 500-acre site. The 175 acres is a portion of this 500-acre site. We did that in order to notify as many people as we could, and to give a fair notification range. 19 notifications went out. As of today, 0 responses have been received by the Planning Division. In addition to the notifications that went out, we did certified notifications to Verizon, ISD, Suddenlink, TGC, Republic, Atmos Energy, TxDOT, AEP, and the Quail Valley Volunteer Fire Department. By state statute, we had to notify the ISD twice by certified mail. I'm sorry, let me go back. In addition to this notification, a publication was done. The publication was also done by myself on the 22nd, going to the post office and delivering a second notification, which was not required by state statute, but we felt it necessary for this ordinance. And so that publication was done for this public hearing, and should there be a second, that one was handled as well. This is a copy of the utilities map. It's also found on your staff reports. This is a copy of the major thoroughfare plan, which is also found in your staff reports. The action requested today is to approve the proposed 175-acre annexation and adopt on first reading the annexation ordinance. This concludes staff's presentation. We're available for any questions you may have.
One question I had, you said this is contiguous, that there is, I don't know of any other property that's in the city limits that abuts this on either side.
So, sir, if you look immediately to the south on the map before you in your staff reports, you can see that light green, and I apologize, it's very hard to read, but there's a light green portion that runs along Old Ballinger that is immediately abutting this piece of property.
So it runs all the way to 277?
It runs all the way to 277.
On the south side.
And so
Okay.
state
So it
statute
does-
says it doesn't immediately have to touch, it can be across the street.
Okay. So it's contiguous to the street?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
In reading the report here, the 2009 comprehensive plan considered in context of considering annexations, specifically that rapid land use expansion and recent annexations have affected the identity of the city and established a new development pattern for the fiscally unattainable. I'm recognizing that statement from my own portion of town, the rapid development of our city. And I questioned the same time, is the contiguous part, that there's a little part down there, all of that's owned by the same person, correct? And they're only wanting the part that's outlined in red to be annexed to the city. That's my question. I have a hard time understanding why not all of it.
The portions immediately to the west are actually owned by a different entity. They are part of the overall 500 acres that was subject to the development agreement, which is found in your staff reports. But the 2 parcels that you see immediately to the west, those rectangular pieces, if you will, are owned by a separate entity, not by the trust, not by the block trust.
Okay. And the other question is the zoning of it. Should it be annexed into the city? It doesn't become farm and ranch? I mean, it immediately goes industrial, or
No, ma'am.
explain that?
You are actually correct that it does in fact go to ranch and estate. And so when it comes in, if this council should choose by its second reading to accept the annexation, it will automatically be given a zoning designation of ranch and estate. At that point, the applicant has the choice to submit a rezoning application, which will ultimately go before this council. And in fact, it is their intent to rezone. They have submitted a rezoning application to change the, should it be accepted, the ranch and estate zoning district to heavy manufacturing.
Heavy manufacturing. Okay, has there been any study done by you or the planning staff, and I realize you don't have a crystal ball, and I wished you did, but the growth of our city and the rapid growth that we're seeing and the expansion that we're seeing, any thought or consideration giving as to how fast we could see residential development close by, nearby, in the prevailing area out there, how close to Pauline or the Sun Lake Estates division? Do you have any idea?
Ma'am, at this point, we don't. However, our director has tasked us with your impetus to go ahead and start studying the city as a whole and to identify key areas which are apt for, or ripe for that matter, for annexation in the future. And so we'll be doing a comprehensive examination of the entire city,
And
not just
that's
this
my
piece.
question to this, is to how ripe is this particular area? It's not my area of expertise, and I'd like to know if Mr. Fleming has any thoughts on that.
Several. One of my main thoughts is this is like the wrong time to be bringing forward Pinnacle Sand to be talking about doing an annexation of property of 175 acres when we're about to have a big argument next month of a sand fracking company that's in town. I think we should get that one over with before we'd ever discuss this. That's why I don't think that we should be doing this. My main problem on this is that the amount of water that they would be using that belongs to the city, and you said it last time, Charlotte, about, the parcels in there and everything. They're out of the way about that. I don't think there's really a big deal about that because they have property that's over there off of the north side it's in the right area, the right zoning, and there's not surrounded by residential. My main thing is, why would we do this at this time? I mean, if this was done 6 months ago or a year ago, I think it would have been, I would have been all for it, but I'm not for it at this time. The amount of people, the residents that are calling me and telling me not to do this, has been staggering. I haven't had a single person say, you should do this. You should allow the annexation of this property come in right now.
So ma'am, if I could finish answering your question. In terms of that, I beg your pardon. In terms of that overall examination we'll be doing, at least in this area, you can see with the future land use map in front of you, this piece, as the rest of the pieces within the 500 acres, all have a future land use designation today of industrial, which doesn't mean that today they couldn't develop as anything they wanted because they're in the county. However, because they are under a development agreement with the city, that development agreement of which the city is party to says that in the event that any of the property owners wish to do anything other than agricultural or a single-family use, that is a single-family dwelling unit, at this point, they have to submit for an annexation. That is part and parcel of that development agreement. So the applicant is abiding by the requirements of that development agreement that they came into with the city for at the moment that they chose to do anything other than an agricultural use or a single-family residence. But you can see everything that's planned to be developed around this area, immediately to the north, immediately to the south, to a certain extent to the southeast, and everything to the west has been designated as non-residential, either through neighborhood center, through industrial, or through commercial future land uses. There is no residential planned in our comprehensive plan for the north, immediately to the north, immediately to the south, immediately to the west, and to a certain extent to the southeast. It's all planned for non-residential.
Do you know when that agreement was put in place? I'm assuming that was when there was an annexation before and they chose not to be annexed.
Yes,
And so
because they
went
wanted to
into
keep their
this-
ag
Right.
exemption, and
Is that
so.
several years ago, I'm assuming?
Sir, that was filed with the clerks, with the county clerk's office in 2000 and. Trying to 2009, because I'm trying to get to the last part. Yes, 2009.
But Pinnacle Sand can go out there right now. They can open up and do business tomorrow in that location without us having to do an annexation of this property.
They could, but at that point, if they have any utility needs, it would be a little bit more challenging in order for them to do so.
That's not our problem.
But here's the thing. Pinnacle Sand could go onto any piece of property. However, were it not for this development agreement, they could not go on this piece of property unless this council chooses to annex this piece of property. No other use other than an agricultural use or a single-family use can take place on any of these 500 acres unless this council approves an annexation. So yes, in theory, they could have, were it not for the development agreement.
And I would just want to make sure that that is correct. I haven't researched that, but that, if council chooses not to annex the property, does that still abide?
It is. It is an agreement between the city and all of the property owners regarding the overall 500 acres.
And it doesn't just state that if they annex, if they choose to develop and then they have to get annexation first. I haven't read that, so I just want to make sure.
The development agreement, which was made from the beginning as part of the staff report, clearly states if any of the property owners of any of the 500 acres chooses to do anything other than an agricultural use or a single-family residential dwelling unit, they must be annexed in. That is what the agreement says.
And that's where I'd want legal to look at it, because typically that means the intent is they come to council and say, okay, we're ready to do something different, now annex us. So I'd want us to research that to make sure we're speaking totally correct.
And then I have another question, is in your work in doing this, Did you discuss with Mr. Bacon or the county commissioners, their desire, wish, intent? I mean, I realize this is in the EJT, but what their comments were? Does anyone know? Don?
No.
You don't know?
I don't
The
know.
question was to planning, was the county involved in any of the discussions on the annex? Did the county have an opinion on any of this?
We have not received any feedback from the county in terms of, we did notify them. However, I've just been brought to my attention that perhaps I was not as clear as I should have been, and I apologize for that. The agreement says the owners of the 500-acre, overall 500 acres, have to petition for the annexation. So let me make that clear. It's a very important clarification. They have to petition for the annexation. Should the petition fail?
Yes. Okay.
Exactly.
Then they can do
There
what they
you go.
want.
I thought that that's what I had said, but clearly I did not. So they have to petition. It has to go before this council. The council has to deliberate that petition. You've deliberated the petition, you've allowed the public to make their comments, now you have the ordinance in front of you. Should you choose to not accept the ordinance on first reading, it dies. The applicant, now this is subject to legal's agreement with our interpretation, and so I will withhold that, but based on my reading of the development agreement, it says they have to petition before City Council has to deliberate it. According to legal, that would be
the other thing council should keep in mind as they do that, as you consider it, is the zoning is put in place as properties develop. If they're in the city, it gives us a little more control, versus if they're not annexed, then it's left up to however they want to develop.
Johnny and then Marty.
Rebecca, so my question is, so I'm looking at a list of individuals or entities that were notified, and so what? They're notified, and are they going to respond back to you, reply? What? You notify them, and then why are we notifying them?
Well, sir, I notify them to let them know of all of the public hearing dates. I let them know the map. I let them know what the future land use designation is. I let them know all the public hearing dates and exactly what this entails. They have an opportunity to respond to me or my staff to let them know if they have any issues at all regarding this. We've received a phone call from one of the property owners. I think we talked about it, Sprocket and Martin. They wanted to know why they received a map with their property shown on it. I explained to them why the notification showed the overall 500 acres. So folks I've received at least one phone call from those that we've notified asking about it. But this is an opportunity for them to be able to input on any annexation. Now, I'll be frank with you.
That list of people is set by
The state,
State.
by the state. And that's why we have 2 notifications to the ISD. But
So
I'll be
then one of these people on the list, I could call you back and say, I oppose this idea.
And I would have to make that part of the record and show it to all of you.
Okay.
And so I'll be frank, most of these notifications, and why the ISD, the Independent School District,
And why them twice?
because if it's a residential subdivision, they have the opportunity, because it affects them so greatly, or has the potential to affect them so greatly, the state has mandated that they need to have 2 notifications certified, sent to them. So this is crucial, especially when we're talking about residential subdivisions or potential subdivisions. That's why the list is the way that it is.
And what do you mean it affects him so greatly? How?
Well, the school district, you have more water uses coming in for the individual residences. You have that much more traffic coming in because of the individual
Usually
houses,
the
students.
is the big
More
thing.
Schools
dust?
may need to be built,
More dust
parks will be
inhale?
affected. So there's a lot more services that are provided for a residential subdivision than it would be for a non-residential use, potentially. Now, it could be the same. It all depends on the use that's coming in. At this point, an annexation simply looks at the future land use that the city, that a municipality has designated for the site, and then it has a mandated list of those that have to be certified mailed in order to be notified. And so we have a series of notifications, not just to residences, but to government agencies and non-government agencies.
And I don't know if you heard my comment, I said more dust to inhale.
I can't breathe, so,
Marty?
Okay, if we move forward and annex, it comes in as R&E,
yes, sir, it does.
then they've already said that they're going to petition for heavy manufacturing.
My office has already received a rezoning application, which is scheduled to go before the Planning and Zoning Commission, should this pass a second reading, on January the 26th, before the Planning Commission.
What happens if we do not pass that zoning request?
If it fails, again, we would have to wait for legal's interpretation of what I read the development agreement to be. And if the legal department agrees that they have fulfilled their requirements to the development agreement, then based on that opinion, staff has to process the application accordingly. But at that point, it becomes a little bit problematic. Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I apologize. That is incorrect. It is not part of the city. The rezoning doesn't have to take place, and therefore, because they are in the county, they can move forward. There is no rezoning, so the application goes
I thought
away.
your question was if this moves forward and they're annexed into the city, they come in as ranch and estate, then they have to apply for a heavy manufacturing. Is then it left up to council to decide whether or not that is approved or not?
Yes, ultimately, every rezoning is approvable by city council. Now, of course, you also have the ability to, even at the planning commission has the ability to ask for a plan development, and staff can also ask for a plan development instead of a heavy manufacturing where conditions can be placed on them. If it were simply coming in as heavy manufacturing, no conditions could be placed on. So a myriad of things can happen between if it goes forward today and ultimately gets approved, and by the time it goes before planning commission.
So in this case, they have no guarantee that it would be rezoned.
There's no guarantee at all. As a matter of fact, staff is waiting for input from council in our deliberation of what recommendation staff is going to be making in the event that the rezoning moves forward.
My question, if we annex this in, it comes in at Ranch and Estate. If we approve this at Ranch and Estate, is the annexation complete? Is it part of the city at that time?
After the second reading, it is.
After the second. And then they have to come forward with us with a heavy commercial. But they're already in the city at Ranch and Estate. And if we deny the commercial, that stays Ranch and Estate, and this sand plant is not allowed in a Ranch and Estate zoning. Am I correct?
You are correct.
So if we bring this in at Ranch and Estate, it is in the city, it is annexed, it belongs to the city. And at that time, we can kill a sand plant by refusing to go to heavy commercial.
You may deny a rezoning to anything other than ranch and estate.
Because the only reason they're trying to bring this in is for water. That's the only reason they're trying to bring it in. And this is going to use a tremendous amount of water, and because water is very, very spotty out there. I know Quail Valley's on Concho Rural, or their own water their own water system, and they get it out of the Concho Rural. So there's no water out there. Charlotte, you had a comment?
Well, you mentioned Quail Valley, so I have to ask something that's been on my mind. And I have approached both Patrick and Rebecca about this. When we're spreading and we're growing and we're reaching those boundaries out into our county areas and reading so much in our handbooks about a home rule city as to what we can and can't do, and I repetitively had read where annexation, and if we interfere with the personal income of that property holder, that's not a good thing. A lot of folks around here depend on income by leasing their acreage for hunting, quail, dove, deer. I really need to know before I do anything on this is how we're going to come down. I mean, it goes in the city limits and boom, there's no hunting. You cannot fire a gun in the city limits. And how does that affect, that area? I've got this in my west, as we're growing west, right now, I've got a lot of that is affected. So that's just another thing for me that I need explained, and its effects.
Further comment from council before I open it up to the public?
This one's a hard one because I really think that we need to, my opinion is to kill it right now and don't let it go to try to take it out of the R&E into a heavy industrial, because that is the master plan on that. I think that you can allow them to go ahead and do their business. In my opinion, they could do their business. If we do kill this now, they're just going to have to be trucking in their own water and finding their own water, not using the city's water. So I have a hard time. I'm going back and forth on this about if we do allow the annexation, and then it's all R&E, or the 175 acres is R&E, which does not fit in with our master plan. The master plan has always been industrial over there in that area. I would think that a couple of things. I would think the seller of the property would not want that because they probably can't get near as much value on the property as they can. I know they can't, as it is being industrial. My opinion, again, is I think we should kill it now and not even vote whether it goes out of R&E to industrial, and then they can do their own thing if they need to do that.
Let's open it up for public comment, and then we will we'll take it forward. Public comment on this item. Anyone wish to speak to it? Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
You know you remember the drill, don't you?
I guess so.
State your name. You've got 3 to 5, sir.
My name is Fred Partlow. I'm the Chief Operating Officer of Pinnacle Sands. Thanks. I guess I just have a question for you. I've heard water as a concern. The use of water would be limited to a toilet and a drinking fountain in a building. So I don't know, I guess, if I need to explain that more. All we're going to do is move sand from a rail car to a semi-truck in an automated fashion, much different than the process that's out on Bell Street or on Hughes Street. So there'll be a couple of people there that need a toilet and an occasional drinking fountain. So there's no water use in the manufacturing or the transloading of the sand from the rail car to the semi-truck.
TCEQ did require the one up here on the thoroughfare that he wet the Caliche Drive to keep the dust down. Will TCEQ also require that for Pinnacle?
Have no idea. Have no idea.
Yes. But if they required it, then water would be used, and massive amounts of water would be used to keep your Caliche, your drive. So yes, there is going to be some water usage. If TCEQ follows their procedures that they are using already, they would require you to wet it, and that would require massive amounts of water.
Okay.
Lee's argument to us as a council was saying,
Yes.
he came in here and said
Yes.
he would be watering it down constantly.
Yes.
They may
And that
choose
was a requirement that they required, and I suspect
Now I
it would
understand
be.
your concern.
Yes.
Done.
Why do you want to be annexed? What's your benefit?
Only because it's required by the previous agreement.
So whether this
it's
is
done.
approved or not, you'll satisfied that agreement? And
I guess there's two sides to every story, but from my point of view is why you wouldn't want the property tax revenue for your city. It would be my big benefit for you, besides a dozen or so employees, 1 to 2 dozen employees, and whatever economic development that creates. Yes, another location could be found outside of the city and the same thing done. This happens to be right by a great highway, and it's by the dump. I mean, from the best location away from as many people as possible. The process is not the conveyor process that we currently have. It's dropping the sand from the rail car into an enclosed pit with an enclosed conveyor, putting it in a silo, and then the truck driving under the silo. So it's similar to the way grain is stored in silos. And so it's not in an open conveyor where the wind can blow everything around. So it's much more efficient.
Mr. Mayor? I have a question. Is there any rush or urgency to the approval of this?
The customer that we work for would like to cut its costs. So yes, I mean, they would have been doing dirt in November and prepping the track work. So if it wouldn't be the chance that we would waste our money and not be able to do it.
Because I certainly don't want to be anti-business, but I am more comfortable if I get a little more information that I'm not getting today. So that's the reason I
So
asked.
you were suggesting potentially
Postponing,
until
yes.
the next meeting?
Yes.
Well, this water situation's a dual-edged sword. I mean, you're going to be using city water, but if we don't allow it, then you're going to be punching holes out there, and that depletes the aquifer that thousands of people north of San Angelo depend on. So it's a two-edged sword either way we go. And that water's deep, and it's very scarce out there.
Mr. Mayor, I would, at this point, make a motion to postpone till next council meeting so that I personally can research more planning and look at our growth. I have not concentrated on the northeast part of town. That's not been my concern, so I need a little more time to visit with other folks.
Motion's been made. Do I get a second on this
I'll
one?
second that.
Okay.
I'll give.
And that's not a bad way to handle it.
Yeah.
Give us another 2 weeks to look at it.
Mayor.
2 weeks not going to kill you, is it, boss?
Nope.
Okay.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I just wanted to add, we've got a lot of folks out here depending on us to listen to their voices. We've got this hornet's nest out here by Mayfield Paper. Now, if you were
I drive by it every day to work.
If you were Pinnacle Golf, I wouldn't have any problem with it. Some kind of driving
But
range.
Pinnacle Golf would use a lot of water for the
and
grass.
I was going to say that too. I was going to say that too. But what I'm saying is, we've got something on the back burner right now that's just brewing, and I am very hesitant to move forward with it. I can go with a postponement, but you've got to understand that I've got the answer to 18,000 registered voters who brought me here, and that's who is ringing in my ears. Those folks that care about their neighborhood and what's happening. So you've got to understand where we're coming from. We're certainly not anti-business. We're just listening to the voices.
I guess on the issue with the caliche, there'll be that whole 5 acres is calicheed. Because they're going to have the rail cars spread out on tracks and move the trucks and the conveyors to each rail car. This is a loop where there's one pit where the rail car comes over and then 2 silos where the truck drives under. So you're not going to see 175 acres of caliche. We'd go broke buying that much caliche, obviously.
Yeah, but I see what's happening over on Colwell and Hughes Street too.
Yeah.
And that is it's not downtown, but it is still a mess for those people to have to live. I think Rick had a statement, Rebecca had a statement,
Rebecca
you had
will
a
be coming
statement.
up. There
Start with
is
Rick.
a problem with the postponement can happen, but we will have to do all the research notifications, which will require more time than that. And that's the state guidelines. This isn't something that's local. So Rebecca can kind of gear you on that.
So as I iterated in the beginning, when I did all the notifications that went out at the beginning had this timeline after the petition was accepted that had this final date. I now have to do a re-notification and a republication for the postponement, and I need a minimum of 21 days to do that. So therefore, if this council wishes to postpone it, I would ask that you postpone it to the February 3rd, we said? The February 3rd City Council meeting, to give staff an opportunity to be able to send out these notifications, and more importantly, to allow them to give any responses should they have them.
I'm more than happy to amend my motion to that. The old saying, when you're playing poker or playing golf, study long, study wrong. But I do believe a little more time for study in this is truly worthwhile to the city.
Will you amend your second, Rodney, to the first meeting in February?
He may not want us to amend this. He may be playing this in order for us to, if we did vote this down, they can still move forward. Do you want that, if that's a possibility?
I want to do the right thing by the city of San Angelo. The people I work with, there are people on both sides of the story.
I mean, if there's a possibility, I don't know how the vote's going to go on this. I
If
have
you
no
want to
idea.
pull your second and go with a motion to kill it, then we could try that. But right now, we have a second that either needs to be amended or pulled.
Well, I know their situation in the past has always been they needed this thing done as quickly as possible. So
They wanted to do it before I became employed with them. So
right,
yes.
wait. So I'm almost thinking I'll withdraw my second on that.
Then I'll second it.
Okay, with the amendment that we'll wait till the February meeting? So we're still where we were. All right, I'm going to call for public comment one more time, and then we're going to call for the vote on this. You know the drill, Turner.
Yes, my name is Jim Turner. Just a couple things. It's good that you are looking at the amount of control that this will give the city that they won't have if this is not annexed. That is, I think, really the main point that needs to be part of the decision. If it's not annexed, they can do anything that's legal pretty much after they've fulfilled their part of the agreement. So they can still do pretty much what they want. The other thing is, even though the first meeting in February is convenient, there's other stuff going on at about that time that means it might be better if you looked at the one in the middle of February.
Yeah, the other meeting's February the 2nd. And
ZBA?
ZBA's February the 2nd.
Well, they wouldn't be able to get it on, even if the meeting on the ZBA's on the 2nd, they wouldn't be able to get it on the agenda for ours on on the 4th, would they?
No.
The item for
Third.
the ZBA also could be moved to the following
Yeah,
meeting.
it
We
could be moved
bump
to the
it.
second meeting.
But you're speaking for them. For ZBA.
I'm just thinking there's a lot of.
He is ZBA.
I understand, I'm just giving you options.
Yeah.
I forgot Jim
Including
is
the
the ZBA, so.
The motion's been made and seconded, so we're gonna have to deal with it one way or the other. But I don't see that a second meeting will make any difference. I understand what you're saying, Jim, but if the ZBA meeting's on the 3rd and our meeting's on the 4th, you can't get it on our agenda anyway, because you don't have the
It's not a
72
matter of
hours.
us getting it on the agenda, it's that might be adding noise and confusion and everything into the decision process.
Just call for the vote.
And also, after we hear the ZBA outcome, we may have more of an idea what we want to do with this one. I'm gonna call for the vote if there's no more public comment. Any other? Last call. All in favor of postponing this, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay?
Nay.
Okay, let's see a hand of the ayes. We have 3 ayes. Let's see a hand of the nays. 2. Where were you, Johnny?
I'm in the middle.
You're gonna have to make your mind up pretty quick. Which side you on?
My bottom line, I'd like to kill this thing if I could. I guess I could go vote for the postponement. I guess that's the least we could do.
I think
don't wanna kill
we should be
jobs.
the most informed that we can about it. I would like for legal to check to verify the agreement. I think this is a big issue and we need to be the most informed we can. So I think.
And I don't think 30 days is gonna hurt us.
It won't.
Hmm?
There's not an issue with postponement, and I'll even throw this out there as a matter of fact. There's 2 readings. You could actually even make a decision today on an annexation for R&E, and still kill it at the second. I mean, if you need to at the next meeting. So if you voted today to go ahead and approve for R&E as far as annexation, at the next meeting, once all the research is done, at that point you can decide we don't want this instead of doing the postponement.
And that's where I was coming from. To me, that's a better solution than killing it today and having to remail and wait. It's mandatory that we wait after that because of the 21 days. But if we go ahead and go forward with it now, then it gives us another opportunity at a later date without the expense, staff time, and notification.
And that makes sense.
That
That's
does
why I
make
was saying
sense to
that.
me, and
That makes sense as well.
Based
Well, and it
on
allows them to do what they want.
additional information, I will.
Well, let's call for
withdraw.
the vote again then. All in favor of postponement,
Do
please
you
say,
wanna-
please raise your hand.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Well,
it's the
we've already
same.
got the motion. I mean, we haven't decided the other
Haven't
motion
called the
yet.
vote.
Yes. So let's,
Wait. So say that again now.
This is a motion to postpone the public hearing
we've not
until
come to a
February the 3rd.
conclusion yet on that one.
No?
And if Johnny fails
did.
to vote for it, or if someone changes their mind, then we will not postpone. Then there can be another motion made that we can bring this in at RD, or we could kill it. So we're still on the
Johnny.
postponement. And since the new information has been brought forth,
Johnny needs to vote.
I'm gonna change my vote, so that's gonna change it anyway. All in favor of postponement, raise your hand.
We have to.
Okay. All in favor of not postponing, raise your hand. Okay, we're not postponing it. Now, Rodney, do you want to make a motion one way or the other to take care of this?
I'll do, this is Don's area over there. and I
You're
think
right.
I would leave it to Don.
Well,
I like what he was saying, though.
I move that we go forward as presented by staff, and then we'll take another look at it at the second reading.
So we bring it in at R&E.
R&E.
Right.
You are under no obligation under the second ordinance to approve, under the second reading of the ordinance to approve it. At that point, it can be.
correct.
I'll second that.
Okay. So we bring it in at R&E. It will be annexed into the city, and we are under no obligation to change this to heavy manufacturing. And at R&E, he can't do that anyway. He can't do the sand plant anyway.
Well, Mayor, actually, on the second reading is at
Yeah,
that
it'd still
point.
be
that you-
R&E.
Correct. So even if you move forward right now with R&E, at the next meeting, once all the research is done, you may decide to go a different direction and say, you know what, we just don't want this at all. But this allows us to move forward.
It's going to take 4 meetings. 2 readings for R&E and 2 readings for heavy manufacturing to ever make this thing work, so.
Well, ultimately.
Ultimately, if you all decide to adopt on first reading today the annexation, The next will be the second reading, which will come forward, and then the Planning Commission will deliberate the rezoning, and then you will have an opportunity to look at the ordinance for the rezoning those 2 times. So at the next, after this, should you wish to move forward, you will have 3 opportunities. 1 for the annexation to bring it into the city, and 2 to accept a rezoning to any zoning district. It doesn't have to be heavy manufacturing.
It's not pretty watching us make sausage, but I think we have finally come to a good conclusion. And if there's no further comment, then we're going to vote on the motion that was made that we allow this annexation at R&E.
No, you're just adopting the ordinance to accept the annexation.
correct.
This has nothing to do with zoning.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
But it comes in at,
It would.
to accept the annexation, which will be brought in according to our regulations at an R&E zone.
Yes, upon
Okay.
the adoption of the second reading.
Is that your second?
That's my
Is
second.
that your motion, buddy?
Yes, sir.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay. Put a 6-0 on that one, please.
More better. I like that.
Ms.
one better.
Grindstaff?
Cold back there.
Alrighty, now we're ready for Tina Benell. Number 12, public hearing, consideration of approving and adopting a resolution directing publication of notice of intentions to issue certificates of obligation to fund public safety projects. Now, 12 and 13 go together. Tina, do you want to take them just one at a time?
We can kind of do them together if you want. That'd be fine.
Let me go ahead and read 13, and let's take 12 and 13 together because they both deal with the exact same projects and the same money. Am I right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, number 13 is public hearing, consideration of approving and adopting a resolution declaring intent to reimburse cost of acquiring, constructing, installing, and equipping public safety facilities and equipment consisting of a fire station, fire training facility, equipment and vehicles for the fire and police departments, radio tower, and communication equipment and software project with proceeds of future debt. You are on, ma'am.
All right. Thank you, and good morning, Mayor and Council. As you'll recall, at our last meeting on December 16th, staff was just directed by the council to initiate the debt process for these items you see listed up on the screen. The next step in this process is to issue that publication for notice of intent. And that's what we need to do today is get that resolution adopted. As you see up here, the total amount in that notice will need to be the $13,650,000. I believe your background that said $13.5 million, but we do need to go ahead and include all of the costs listed as we presented in the previous meeting. So this is really just housekeeping to try to get the resolution adopted so we can move forward with that debt issue.
Can Vince
have
save
any
us any money on this one before we enter into it?
I'm pretty sure he's done all he can to this point, so.
Can you make that any smaller?
This is what we talked about last time, and it was $13.5 million, $13.5 million plus the $150,000.
Yes, sir.
For the bond cost, and this was for radios and all of the different equipment.
Fire Training Center, Fire Station Number 4, the P25 expansion, and the police technology upgrade.
All right,
Yes,
this
sir.
is items 12 and 13, and it covers all of these. I'm looking.
So item 12 is the publication for the notice of intent, and then item 13 is the reimbursement resolution so that we can go ahead and start breaking ground on some of those projects and then to reimburse ourselves, basically.
Does anyone want to make a motion that we approve 12 and 13 as listed?
I'll make a
Motion to approve is
motion.
presented.
I'll second.
I got Johnny first. I'm going to give you the second. Okay, this is to take care of our public services, something that we certainly need, and I'm glad the motion has been made and we are this far. Any comment from council? John?
Quick. Tina, remind me where Fire Station Number 4 will be located?
I believe Chief Ferris is here. He
I
could.
got it.
Okay.
We looked at buying the property over on Cristobal
Good
Road,
fellow.
and we first
Okay.
looked at that intersection, then we moved farther toward the base.
Okay, thank you.
It's right beside it.
Is that right, Ferris?
State your name, and you got 3 to 5.
Name, rank, and serial
Scott
number.
Ferris, Assistant Fire Chief. Yes, sir, that is true. I believe it's going to be on the corner of, I believe it's Edgewood and South Chadburn.
Okay.
This time. So.
Thank you,
I
sir.
remember.
Public comment on this item? You coming for me? Yes, sir. we do have to make it in two motions, so we will do 12 and we'll do 13. So somebody give me a motion to approve 12, please.
It already
You've already
done.
been done.
Second.
Johnny and Charlotte, will you amend your motion and your second for number 12 only?
Absolutely.
Okay. Motion has been made. Further comment from the public? All in favor of approval of item number 12 as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Someone want to do something on 13?
Motion to approve 13 as presented.
Second.
Okay, Charlotte and Elizabeth, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? Put a 7-0 on both of those, please. Number 14, discussion. An update on matters related to the 2014 general obligation refunding bonds. Continue, please, ma'am.
Okay, again, this is just an update. We brought this a couple months ago that we were going to do a refunding on a bond issue in the water and sewer funds, or I think it's the sewer fund specifically, I'm sorry. And so Vince and his folks have had time to get that done. It closed on December 11th. And so we just wanted to bring you an update on what that looked like. The total debt service savings ended up being just over $800,000, and we were able to refinance it at a 2.38% interest rate. And so we just wanted to bring that back and let you know that we had finished that it did close on December 11th, and that we were able to save the city some money there. And if you have any questions, we'll be happy to answer those.
You don't need anything from us? This is just
No, sir, it's
discussion
just an
and-
update, just let you know that was finalized, so.
And you did save us $820,000, Vince?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's what I wanted to hear.
Is that the best you could do?
At this time, yes, sir.
And Tina, I didn't intentionally leave you out, and I apologize to folks. I think you're doing an outstanding job with what you've been handed. And
Thank you,
Tina,
ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that.
So when do we anticipate bringing back more certificates of obligation? What's our next step as far as funding our next item?
We are, of course, doing the study at this point or negotiating the study at this point for the infrastructure improvements on streets. Once we have some of that back, I did meet with Patrick and Shane to discuss as far as moving forward with reconstruction. We do have the monies, of course, to do the rehab projects, not rehab, maintenance projects. But we're looking at, Shane, what are we looking at, about 60 days down the road? On the
Hello, Shane.
on this, we're talking about moving forward with the other projects as far as the debt service and so forth, borrowing money.
Apologize for waking you up, buddy.
He was
making sure I'm answering the right question.
He was playing solitaire.
We will be bringing the Seal Coat project. Hopefully, we'll be putting that out to bid within the next 30 days or so for the Seal Coat project for this year, which is our routine maintenance that we do on the city streets. So you'll be seeing that pretty quick. Of course, we already have budgeted funds for that in this year's budget. When we're looking at, of course, we have we're hopefully finalizing negotiations with the company that's going to do the study for us on the road surveys. And hopefully we'll have a final report back in July, but we should hopefully have some preliminary information. We're hoping in the April to May timeframe to have some preliminary information to be able to bring to y'all that will hopefully, if it's convincing enough preliminary information, we could hopefully bring y'all back some detailed information at that point to help us move forward.
Okay. Thank you.
Vince, did you have anything you wanted to say?
Mayor, council members, good morning. For the record, my name is Vince Vio with Specialized Public Finance. Absolutely not, sir.
Okay. We're glad you're here and we appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
All right, we have taken care of that. The next thing is our executive closed section. And as far as announcement and consideration of future agenda items, a couple of mine are going to depend on executive. So I guess I will just take us into an executive this time, and then we'll end it up. Let me find I got it right here. Executive, closed session, executive session under the division of Government Code Title V, Open Government Ethics, Subtitle A, Open Government Chapter 551, Open Meeting, Subchapter D, exceptions to requirements that meetings be open under the following sections. Number 1, Section 5510712, to consult with his attorney on a matter in which the duty of the attorney to the governmental body under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with this chapter. Item number 2, Section 551072, to deliberate the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property, parentheses, Angelo State University and Fairmount Cemetery. Item number 3, Section 551087, to discuss an offer of financial or other incentive to a company or companies with whom the City of San Angelo is conducting economic development negotiations, in which the City of San Angelo seeks to have, locate, stay, or expand in San Angelo. It is 11:20. Any idea, boss, on how long we're going to need on these?
I'd say an hour, Mayor.
About an hour?
Yes, sir.
So 11:20, 12:20, let's say we'll be back in here by 12:30. We're shooting for 12:30 to be back. Normally, I have to come and ask for an extension, but we are shooting for 12:30. We are now in executive. 17, let's get this show on the road. Number 15, and it is 12:17, Brian. Consideration of and possible action on matters discussed in executive closed session if needed. There is nothing that we discussed in executive closed session that we need to talk about. Is there?
I'm good.
You're good with your deal? Okay, so there's been no decisions made, no votes taken. So there is nothing we need to talk about. Announcements, consideration of future agenda items. Start with you, Elizabeth.
And you can't take a vote in executive.
No, we don't.
Yeah.
So what I say, no votes taken.
Okay. Make it clear.
Elizabeth?
Two things, Mayor. One, first being, it's to me the 12th day of Christmas, and I'm not sure in our community why Christmas got turned off a few days ago, so I would like to see what the budget is for the electricity on the lighting project and other things that the city supports.
You're talking about Concho Christmas?
Concho Christmas.
Okay, I'll get Carl. That'll be a request of Concho Christmas. They set the dates, and so we'll talk to them.
I think that's important to remember what the season truly is about. And another item, I would like to see what we have, maybe next meeting, talk about a training budget for staff as well as board members, and see what we have allocated and what we think is necessary going forward. I think we have quite a few board members that have never had any training, even from the staffs that are primary to their function, and I think that there's a lot better job that we could do there, and potentially send them to other conferences and networking opportunities where they can learn as well. That's all.
Mr. Vardaman.
I still have the same two that I want on the agenda that I asked for last time that I didn't get on the agenda this time. So I'm going to request those again. And do y'all need to know what they are?
Sure.
Okay. Funding for the dilapidated house program, and why we're delaying and bringing the new codes forward for approval. And then
That's two.
I would also, that's yeah, but I got others.
Okay.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah, I have others. And then y'all can just give us this in Friday facts, the status of the charter review committee.
Yeah.
And then I would also like on the agenda next time a resolution from the council on land use for the rezoning board, to know where the council's coming from and what our thoughts are prior to them acting on the sand
ZBA.
plant.
Oh, on for
Say
ZBA.
that again.
A resolution from us on, after discussion, on what we feel needs to take place at the sand transloading plant in the center of our community.
So are you wanting us to prepare some sort of resolution, or y'all are going to formulate that during the meeting?
I think we can formulate it during the meeting.
Okay.
The next meeting.
And that's something you would send to the ZBA, or that you
Well,
just want to put out in
just
general?
put out.
Okay.
I think we need to discuss timing. Can you formulate and pass a resolution in the same meeting? If not, then formulation would occur on the 20th, and passage would occur subsequent to the next ZBA meeting.
Well, it's a resolution, it's not an ordinance, so. To me, a resolution is just the will of the board.
If you could, you might work with me, Don, on that
Hold on, he
wording,
has
something
been-
like a resolution for the give me the basis of what
Okay.
it's gonna say, and then you can work on the exact wording of it.
All right, I can work it up
We'll
and
have to summarize what we're focusing on.
I can work up a resolution and give it to you if you
Super.
like.
And we could even do that, if you want to do that, we could put a proposed one on there, and then council could alter it that day. That
Give
would
us a
probably be the
starting
best.
point.
That'd be the best.
Okay.
Dan, did you have a comment? Dan?
Yes, I do. Resolution could be adopted on one reading. I think legal should take a look at that. I know on your rules for the council, at least a council member is not to appear before a board and take a position. So that at least raises a red flag about whether the council as a body should take a position. The ZBA is not advisory to the council. They serve their function under ordinance, and they have 100% of the authority in their realm. So in my mind, it does raise a legal question about, at least to look at, whether or not taking a position with a vote in a formal resolution would be appropriate.
Well, and my intention is not only for ZBA, but for our constituents to let them know publicly that, you know, we are having an opinion one way or another. And, you know, the way that I think it is at this time, most people don't really know one way or another how we feel about what's going on within our city.
Yep. I'm not.
We can, Dan, and we can work on that as well. I just don't know if it goes back to if you're not directing it directly to ZBA, but actually just making a general statement, you know, this is our position at this point. It's not, I think what you're saying is if you're trying to maybe unduly influence the ZBA, there may be an issue there. But if you kind of just make it broad and say this is what we stand with it, then that may be okay. It just depends on the wording. We'd have to take a look at that.
And I'll get my thoughts together and email you, and then you can distribute it as needed.
Okay. Anything else, Don?
No, no, sir.
Sure.
Well, I'm from what I'm hearing from two folks on the right over here, it's 3 for 3. I certainly want something on the agenda where council is allowed to talk about and discuss their feelings of the current events of the ZBA that council is aware of, and maybe likes or doesn't like, their hands being tied in certain situations because of the way the bylaws are currently written under the guidelines, specifically the ZBA. And I do want to talk about it. I want to talk about all boards and the minimum training that they should have or we should provide for them, or handbooks, so that the boards themselves understands what their role is, their authority, and what they could use in advice from the council staff or legal. But as far as appearing before the boards, you know, council, we're taxpayers. We have districts, yes, but as long as we certify we're not here for the council, representing the council, I'm here as, you know, my personal opinion of liking this or that in this or that district, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong at all. But the procedures of the way certain things that have happened recently, I'm very unhappy with, and because council's hands are tied, I think that immediately I'd like to see staff looking at making a resolution or whatever to untie the hands so that we can get some closure. And if I'm not clear on that, and I would like to say thank you for the trash efforts. We still have trash, but it has been better than it was, and it looks so much nicer than it has, but still along the loop, we do have some trash issues.
Okay.
And I'm through.
Thank you.
And I do want the resolution because we're being blamed for this regardless of what happens. So I think council needs to make a very definite statement that I'm very much opposed to it. That's all I had. John?
I only have one thing. I know that, speaking of Concho Christmas celebration, I was approached by one of my constituents who was interested in, and I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, do we not support that organization with a $25,000?
I don't think we do.
I'll check the dollar amount, I'm not sure, but typically we have contributed through the parks budget for assistance with electricity.
Okay, well, yeah.
Not all of it, just some of it.
He was interested in finding out how much revenue that event brings in, and if we could have a report or just something brought to us.
I'll talk to Carl about seeing if Concho Christmas could come make a presentation to council sometime in the upcoming months.
Yeah.
and
I bet Lee could tell you to the nickel.
Yeah, and it takes them a little while because after the event, they have a lot of the surveys and they get all that information put together about where the people were from and all that kind of stuff. So once they compile all that, that might be a good time because they can give you
present a report and the amount of dollars that are brought. What is it, $5 a car or something?
Donation.
Suggested.
Okay, that's what they're interested in.
But to clarify what contribution we as the city have toward Concho Christmas, as opposite of what was read in the Houston Chronicle this weekend, that one lone entrepreneur individual provides that for the entire city, and that's a misstatement. It's a misstatement because the citizens, the city of San Angelo, I agree with you, Johnny, that we need better clarification.
Yeah, because they sell the ads along the street, all those things contribute to their whole, they have a lot of contributors.
I forgot about that part, yeah.
Marty, do you have anything, sir?
Yeah, I've got a couple. I want to back up what Councilman Barterman was talking about. I'd like some kind of report on when the charter review committee is going to even start meeting. I don't think they've even started meeting yet, have they? Okay, and the other thing is, I got about 3 phone calls last night over the weekend going down Great Creek Road. They, right there at 50th Street or Heroes Way, they took out a GTE or Verizon telephone box, and no one knows who to call. Can we find someone to call? If it rains again, it's probably going to start messing up lines.
They did destroy it, didn't they?
Yeah.
We'll take care of it. Is that it?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Mr. Fleming.
I'd like to bring back, I think Liz was the one that talked about this last, about the water collection system, and when is that going to be scheduled?
That is scheduled, actually, we were initially working with Elizabeth's schedule because she's doing a presentation to her district that she does once a month or every so many months. So they're going to do that there, and then they were going to come do it to give the presentation.
Is that going to be the guy from Ballinger?
No, it's going to be, city staff is going to be doing it.
Ours is pertaining to just the information about homeowners who may want to do a stormwater collection system, what the rules are, what the state rules are. You know, they're about storing gray water and various things like that.
Mm-hmm. My intention is to make our citizens aware of what is available to them right now.
Right.
And then maybe get some feedback as to what else we might want to add to that, and anyway, bring that forward to council.
I'd like to piggyback on that, and that guy from Ballinger, he's kind of an expert on this. I think he's from Australia. I forgot what his name is. I'll call the Home Builders Association. They know him because they've worked with him on some projects. Because one of the things that I would like to talk about is actually a mandatory restrictions on landscaping on commercial projects. So dictating what they can and cannot do, and having water collection systems put in, at least on the commercial projects that are going to go in, that'll be new in there. So I'd like to be in on that discussion on that.
Okay, and that's a very good topic, very different from what Elizabeth's doing, because hers is just informing citizens, here's what you can do to collect and so forth. Yours is going to be more from a planning,
yes,
code, zoning sort of standpoint, sort of like a landscape ordinance is, yes, basically what it is, that tells people here's what you have to do, which is something we need to run through the planning department. as far as getting that whole ball rolling as well. So
Okay, I don't want that on the next meeting, then I'll see if we can set up a meeting for that, with them.
Okay.
And see where we need to try to get a path going on that, because.
We can, I know we're meeting this week, maybe we can come together on this one also.
Yeah, that would be good. And I want us to be thinking ahead as a council on this water situation. We dodged a bullet last year, 7 or 8 months ago, but we're coming right back into it again, and people are not thinking the way they need to be thinking on water conservation. And we need to, I think as a council, we need to really be looking forward and be looking out that 6 months from now, the summertime, that perhaps we don't get any more rain or we have a down year. I think we ended up being down 4 inches this year again. I think it was close to 4 inches, 3 to 4 inches down again after having such a bad year last year, the previous year. So we need to really plan towards that. And I think we're working on a couple of projects with Ricky on that, aren't we? We haven't heard anything on the reclaimed water situation.
Not yet.
Yeah, we can get your report on that as well, Beth.
Yeah, I just want it all to keep moving forward. My big deal, okay.
That
And
portion of it is.
The rate study?
Correct. The water rate study, also the Red Arroyo project, I mean, those are projects that at this point, and Ricky, of course, is not here right now, he's off, but those are projects that are moving forward. And again, we can get a report to you on that one actually at the next city council meeting as well.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
By the way, congratulations. I understand he's a grandfather again?
Yes, he is. So we'll let him know.
Good.
Somebody help me on the last item.
Move for adjournment.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
This meeting's over.